What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here, talking a little PGA DFS. Looking forward to it. The first look of the Farmers Insurance Open. First of all, hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell here. Goes a long way for my video. Keeps me in business here, talking a little golf, which is really all I want to do for the most part. Just like I want you guys to sign up at Prize Picks. That's another thing I want you to do. Look at this lovely screen. They already have NFL stuff out. They don't quite have PGA out. You kind of need to double check weather, double check other things, because there can be an edge to that for sure. But check this out. NFL, NBA, college basketball, soccer, everything you could possibly want and more. Tennis, that's starting to get towards the end of the Australian Open. I'm going to watch some of that. But definitely be checking out that great stuff for NFL. Sign up in the video description box below. $100 first match deposit bonus when you sign up using promo code Stokastic. So, hey, do that. Just like I want you guys to watch the rest of this video. I got a lot of analysis from you guys, a lot of feedback. Really appreciate it. I'm going to make sure I give FanDuel a little bit of time here today. So if you're checking it out to get some information there, sounds great. But I'm going to give you a first look at the golf course, talk about some of the skill sets that I'm going towards with this lovely little Word document that I'm pulling up as we speak. But we're going to do that. We're going to then do the same things as last week, where we're going to focus on the Top Golfers tool, how to help you with PGA DFS put together good, solid lineups, and what the things that matter in terms of leverage are, top 6 percentage, all of those things for the Top Golfers tool. We're going to build some lineups in Fantasy Cruncher on the fly, and then we're going to hand build something to round out the show, really focused on skill sets and what they do well here. But let's get to it, shall we? Check this out. You guys aren't even going to believe it. Word document. Wow. Oh, it didn't even come up. There it is. Oh, Eric did work and stuff. I just typed out the same shit. But the Farmers Insurance Open, Torrey Pines South course. This place is just incredible. The North-South, they're both fantastic golf courses. The South is the one everybody is more familiar with because they play 3 of the 4 rounds there. So the first round, that is right here. First round, second round, you're playing one golf course one time, one the other. Then they have a 36-hole cut. We're back to 156-man fields. Those are always fun. Yay. But par 72, it's going to be up to 7,800 yards. And I say up to a lot of the times when I'm talking about a golf course, because there's times they'll shorten it. Par 3s, they can move tee boxes up, move things around. But for the most part, really long. You better hit the golf ball far. We're looking at Kikuya tees, fairways, Poana greens. So going to be a little bit of problematic there. Primarily bent grass greens there on the North course. So yay for that. Going to be a spot where you score on the North course. You don't score until you score. Until you score, baby. American Pie, that was for myself. But we've got the South course. It is just a beast. And it's in the U.S. Open host course rotation. The rough plays a lot longer. It plays a lot firmer and faster than what it will for this, and makes it far more difficult than you're looking at for this. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some comps, even though I'm not going to be using U.S. Open data to help inform any of my decision making. It doesn't hurt if you played well here during the U.S. Open for sure, but won't be a major factor because it just plays easier than this. We saw 15 under be the winning score last time around. That was my guy, Luke List. Yay for him. Will Zalatoris ended up losing in a playoff, but hey, John Rahm, T3 there. Sure, we'll talk about him a lot in our next feature, but yeah, Wednesday to Saturday, they need to fly Jim Nantz to go call a football game on Sunday. They also don't want to compete with football on Sunday. Waste Management doesn't care. They'll fire it up. They focus on party, and life is good there. But let's focus on skill sets here. So what I really want to help you guys with, and what I was told, is that, hey, why don't you explain to me what some of the best players to roster in these formats are? Torrey Pines, you'll run into a Brandt Snedeker who won this in abysmal conditions a while ago, who's just a short knocker, but just found a way around, because you can be really good around the green, find ways to make pars, get really hot with a putter, be really good with long irons. That's kind of a prerequisite for me as well. But the most important, driving distance. South course is long. I think even looking at the Top Golfers tool, you're going to see a trend with some of the players that have the highest positive leverage, because if you hit at 330, life is a lot easier with playing at sea level, 7,800 yards. You can get some wind coming off the ocean at times, but for the most part, it is just a long-ass golf course. 4 par 5s, both on the North and the South course, and these par 4s are just brutal on the South. Brutal stretch of golf that you're looking at. Wow. just thinking about the finishing stretch, you've got 17 that doesn't really play all that long, but you're hitting 3-wood most of the time off of it. 10, 12 is just still ridiculously long, over 500-yard par 4. So driving distance, very important. But overall driving as well, getting it in the fairway when you have 3.5-inch rough, which is longer than normal, and Kikuyu rough that really grabs the club, makes it difficult to accelerate through some of your shots, to be able to really judge distances correctly. And again, 3.5 inches of rough, if it were thin, it wouldn't be a big deal. But this Kikuyu grass is really lush, makes it difficult to play when you're super wayward. So guys who bomb it long and far and straight, pretty good spot. Approach game always matters to me. I think I give it a boost in my model a little bit more than most PGA DFS players. Actually, no, most PGA DFS players give it a boost, but hard to make birdies unless you're hitting it close to the hole. Just hashtag math. But long iron specialists, that's kind of what I'm focused on here. Guys who hit it from 200 to 225, really, really close in proximity. Lots of places you can pull this data from. I'm going to focus on my favorites. Strokes gained around the green. Once again, just like in the US Opens here, when you have 3.5-inch rough, you're going to hit some wayward shots at times, and it's being able to save those pars, make 10-footers, 12-footers, finding ways to just get the ball in the hole, and then take advantage of par 5s when you can. Who plays tough course as well? Another characteristic where the top players are going to transcend this golf course. And Luke List, I don't think of him as a top player, but I definitely think of him as a top ball striker. And in that regard, those are the kind of guys that when the going gets tough and you're playing a 7,700, 7,800-yard golf course, you want to be stacking it up. And then the last part, player skill sets. Skill set stacking. Yes, just in the same way that you tee time stack, which I'm sure we're all going to find some stuff. I can't talk about that on a Monday afternoon. I really start firming that up come Tuesday night, normally Wednesday night. But considering the golf tournament starts Wednesday, don't wait till then. We're going to be stacking skill sets up the Ben Raza way. My guy Ben Raza, who really kind of brought me onto this, where I'm taking 4 and 5 players and I'm going to make groups based off of who's really good at things. That's what I want to focus on for Fantasy Cruncher today. Maybe having a group of a couple of great drivers of the golf ball. We're going to take that directly from the Top Golfers tool, put it over to Fantasy Cruncher, and I'm going to show you another facet of how you can use a PGA DFS process to help you make better lineups. All right, that does it for this. Why don't we just talk about this for a second? Premium Discord, this is good stuff. Again, I'm sitting here producing this show by myself, trying to give you all the great information I possibly can. I can give you great bets in the NBA, but we've got NFL specialists. We've got college basketball, college football. That's Eitan and Ben Raza. Look at their lovely faces there. My guy, Greg Ehrenberg. Why can't I say his name? I love Greg. Greg Ehrenberg, doing an awesome job with futures, lofty with everything. You want to check out all of the great stuff in Discord. Use promo code ELInsider. Yeah, promo code ELInsider will get you the first week. Yes, the first week completely free. Sign up in the video description box below for that, shall you? I think you should do that. Alrighty, let's take this off the screen. It's the Top Golfers tool. Wow, look at that. This is the premier tool we have here at Stokastic. I don't mean to be joking around, but either way, let's cover a couple of the facets of it, what I'm looking at here. We've got ceiling, floor. That's going to be these columns here, where we're breaking down a range of outcomes for the most part for a golfer. Odds that a golfer will finish 6th or better in a tournament, something that I definitely focus in on. You can look at top 5 odds at a sportsbook to help inform some of your decision-making there too. But I think the thing that I focused on mostly last week was optimal percentage. And I think we're going to do that again here because lots of ways. Let me refresh this too, because I want to see if some of the optimal columns have fixed. Last update 54 minutes ago. All right, we have a couple of gaps in the data as it's coming over. This will all be shored up come Tuesday for you. So don't worry. We'll have everything there. But the conversation for this golf tournament starts with Jon Rahm. The guy won the Century Tournament of Champions. He then goes bazooka low, wins the American Express. He's now won both golf tournaments of the year of our Lord 2023. He's 11-6. This is generally pricing that you see when Jon Rahm plays by himself in Mexico, like he won last year at, ironically enough. But when there's a very weak field, this is a very, very strong field that we're looking at. It is every single time at the Farmers for sure. But Jon Rahm, Tony Finau, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Will Zalatoris, and then super popular. Get ready for the Justin Thomas chalk of all chalk. 9,400 you are getting an elite player at a discount, that's for sure. But we have a lot of players that are coming in with more ownership. In fact, Jon Rahm almost sneaking to outside the top 10, just barely inside of it here based on the pricing. He's going to be a difficult get. I do think he'll end up a little bit more popular come tomorrow than the 15.8% we're projecting. And if you can take the winner of a golf tournament and try to figure out the rest, generally that's a good approach for PGA DFS, but he still only has a top 6 percentage of 35.4% golf. No matter how well you're playing, Jon Rahm isn't Tiger Woods, at least not yet. Maybe he ends up emerging and being that quality of player. He's an unbelievable golfer, but in golf, you're still not going to win every single time going out. It's so difficult. You have a more elite field even than we had last week. Not that there were any lack of players. We had a stronger field than I was anticipating for the American Express, but this top end is very stacked. Going to be some possibilities to get away from Rahm. It's just going to be really dependent on ownership for me because his optimal percentage doesn't beat 32.5%, that's for sure. Justin Thomas, 22.8. Negative leverage going his way, but the most positively leveraged golfer, according to ownership, Jon Rahm. But it does make sense, though, too. Think about it from a PGA DFS angle. Just because you get Jon Rahm in at 11.6, you still got to figure out the other parts of your lineup, and you click him. You only have 7,680 left. I'll cover that when we get to the hand-building portion to finish out our show. But let's look at some of the more popular plays here at the top end of the board. Xander Schauffele is the first guy that I kind of gravitate towards. We don't know the Finau optimal and leverage because there's an error right now. But Xander, 21.5% optimal percentage, getting positive leverage on a player who looked fantastic in that final round at the American Express. I don't draw anything from that for what it's worth. I just wanted to see that he's healthy. If Xander is healthy, he is an elite player in the world, period. End of story. He's familiar with San Diego. He grew up in the area. He went to college in the area. There you go. Pretty easy for me to find paths to get to him. We'll see if he ends up a little bit more popular, but I do think Colin Morikawa, more than likely, is the guy who gets slept on in the 10K range. Rahm and Finau profile exactly what we were talking about with the drivers of the golf ball that are elite. And Morikawa, Schauffele, get it done a little bit differently. Schauffele can definitely still move it. Morikawa, it's not that he's short off the tee, but he's short compared to these other guys in the elite category. Colin Morikawa is a superhero with irons. That is that's the name of the game here. Will Zalatoris getting negative leverage. Justin Thomas negative leverage. Very curious to see where Colin Morikawa fits into the grand scheme of things. But right now, Xander kind of my top end target. We also flip this to go to the most positively leveraged players on the entire slate right now. Look at this. Cameron Champ, Trey Mullinax. These are superheroes with a driver, and I don't think it's going to be any surprise to me if you just stack up players who are great off the tee. Sungjae Im, 9,300, second in strokes gain off the tee. Taylor Pendrith, third. You've got Cameron Champ, fourth. You've got Tony Finau, who would fit well in these builds. If you want to remove Rahm, put in Finau, upgrade another golfer somewhere, I think that's a positive way to go about your life. Get it? Positive leverage. That was stupid. I'm never doing that again. Hayden Buckley, Luke List. These are the kind of players coming in with positive leverage. I want to focus on the ones, though, who have been good around the green here, and that goes back to last year's stud here. Luke List, sitting at 8K flat. Let me pull him up as we go. Again, just because you won a golf tournament last year, it doesn't mean jack diddly squat for what you're going to do this year. But we are seeing an optimal percentage north of 6% for him. Again, just another positively leveraged player. It seems as though it's just an elite driver of the golf balls that are getting the positive leverage here outside of Garrett Higo. Good to see the Lego Mahigo guy just decide to play some golf once again in the desert. I don't really know how he profiles in for this week. He's more of like just a difficult guy to get a read on. Maybe he plays. I just want him on easier golf courses generally. Maybe that's a misnomer. I'll look more into it. But Trey Mullinax, Cameron Champ, they definitely go in that bucket of guys who just move it, and you want to get to at the top end. Some other positively leveraged golfers that I've kind of had my eye on. Keegan Bradley. He's going to be a highlight and a darling that I bring into my single entry team. I can't imagine a situation I don't play Keegan in this spot. Had a really good year last year, played bad at the Sony to start off his season, was bad with the putter, terrible at the Century Champions with the putter, especially lost 5.7 strokes with it. But he's been okay putting the golf ball in California in recent years. The Farmers last year was bad. Missed 1.5 strokes gained with the putter, but found some form in the middle of the summer. Can be one of the elite ball strikers on the PGA Tour as well. I think he's going to be a piece that if nobody else wants to click it at 8,300, I think he's a name I can really, really get behind. And the last guy that I want to bring up for this section, where is he? I don't even know where he went anymore. Hayden Buckley, there we go. 11.1% going to Hayden Buckley, and I had to do some looking into him at 8K, but 11.1% optimal rate going his direction. He just moves the golf ball. I believe I brought him up a little bit earlier when I featured drivers of the golf ball. Only 46 in strokes gained off the tee, but 34th around the green as well. Those are the complementary type of pieces where if you can be good around the green and drive the golf ball pretty solid, sitting at an 8K range, if I'm looking at getting away from Rahm, which in my single entry team, I'm probably going to do really, really dangerous stuff. But I'm looking more at Hayden Buckley, Keegan Bradley, building around that 8K range, getting to Sung Jae Im, somebody I'm strongly considering in that regard too, but all informed. All decisions informed by the Top Golfers tool, one of the best tools, I think, in all of PGA DFS. Definitely utilize it more and more and more. Cool, we're at the 16-minute mark. Hit that like button if you haven't already here as I switch to this lovely face. Look at it. Lindy's Insider Access. That's my channel that I have going with that deal. Before we talked about the premium Discord, but using EL Insider gets you the first week completely free. So you want to see my offerings. I primarily focus on the NBA this time of season here, and then PGA DFS. This is my darling. So take advantage of this promo code right now. He looks so happy. Simpler times for that kid. Simpler times. But I want you guys to be able to get the best NBA bets possible. This in conjunction with NBA Bet Pro, which has just been a print fest for the people. You check out all of our great offerings we have going. Odd Shopper, coming over here to Stokastic. Really want you guys all to check it out. And let's jump to, here we go. See, I'm getting better at the producing thing on the fly. I just don't know how to kill time on this part, which is ironic because there it goes. Boom. Let's do it. This is Fantasy Cruncher. I think you guys are familiar with this from last week. And FanDuel. I said I promised the people some FanDuel coverage, so let's look at some of the ownership over on the blue site to start off. If it'll come up. Maybe it won't. Oh, I've got to go all the way back here. This is fantasy. This is fantastic. To FanDuel we go. This is NBA. See, now we're just off the rails. Let me remove this here for you guys quick. Don't forget to check out Prize Picks too. That would be awesome if you did that for me. PGA. I'm going to DraftKings here to start off. We just have to, because it has to go that direction. There it is. PGA DFS. This is an interesting one. Let's group it by ownership here to start off. And Justin Thomas, Max Homa, Jason Day. Again, going to be very, very, very popular. But I said I wanted to teach you something different. Last week, I taught about how to lower some of the ownership in the individual lineups, not necessarily having certain players that are going to be super popular together, maybe having a group to not have Justin Thomas and Max Homa show up, considering, I don't know, that combination is going to show up a lot in lineups. Let's talk about building a group on skill set. So we're going to create a new group, and I want to focus on Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm, Keegan Bradley, Sung Jae Im, Taylor Pendrith, and let's go Trey Mullinax. Bombs the golf ball. And the last one, Cameron Champ. Let's say I felt like the entire golf course is going to be set up for this specific skill set, and I don't want to get away from it at any cost. Cool. There are ways that you can just simply set it up to at least have 2 players in this lineup. Now, if we think that a lot of people are going to be stacking based on the driving distance, look at these guys. I mean, Keegan Bradley on the outside of it, but this is more overall driving. Mullinax, Cameron Champ, Jon Rahm, Taylor Pendrith. These are your bombers. Let's keep them just for the time being, because the other two, I guess it's not just true go out and bomb it, but you can go to driving distance, and say, oh, Brandon Matthews, he hits it a mile. He actually really does hit it a mile. Ping. He like broke the face of a ping driver on the range one time. I've heard stories about this guy. He's just stupid long. Thomas Dietrich, Euro guy that is going to be exciting to watch. Gary Woodland, John Rahm, who we just talked about. Some new names here at the top. Davis Thompson, who played fantastic last week. Let's add him to our group, shall we? That was something that we got to have here. Now, let me find a way. Pull all of this together. Yeah, but shout out Davis Thompson. He really can move it too. But we now have a group efficiently made where if I'm trying to stack, and again, you don't have to do this for a billion groups, but instead of having to hand build out a bunch of teams, why not just make a group of like your 5 favorite who all fit that category and say at least 3 players from this group must show up in lineups. Build out 10 of your lineups for it. Look at this. I didn't change any of the other settings here because, again, I want to cover something different for you every single time we talk through these scenarios. I'm not going to put a minimum in. I'll make it 125% on normal distribution randomness for the time being. And let's crunch this out. So I have at least 3 of everybody from that group, along with like a Will Gordon and a Thomas Dietrich. Notice how these ROM lineups have a lot of cheapies in them. Oh, a lot of cheapies. The other thing I talked about last week, it worked out really, really well. As long as you didn't cut off 6,400 and get away, there were a couple of plays that emerged there. And JB Holmes. Am I really going to play JB Holmes this week? I might. Just throwing it out there. But there might be some reason to get to some of these guys down here. Brandon Matthews talked about that earlier. I'll keep him in the group just for the hell of it. But let's crunch out with that because I get below under 6,400. I kind of get everybody out of the pool and I add them in on an as-need basis. Brandon Matthews being one of them here, but look at this. Martin Laird showing up there, 7,100. That's a big price for him this week. Some of these lineups just have automatically 3 of those drivers of the golf ball. You can do this for tee time stacks, of course, where you say minimum of 3 from an early window and you add all of those. We do have the tee times out, so I will talk through that on another video for sure. I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to see one of the ways that you can utilize Fantasy Cruncher to put together skill set players like Ben Raza taught me, like a lot of top players have taught me. Take advantage. It's a really quick and easy thing that you can do. What took all of 5 minutes? 5 minutes. And we had new lineups that we could have catered towards certain things. I will have other groups that I'll build. I said putter heavy. I'll get to some Maverick, McNeely, Taylor, Montgomery type combinations, things of that nature. Very, very important to get to. Alrighty, y'all, hit that like button. We are almost done. We've almost reached the end of our boarding walk. But last thing, this is going to be how we round out every single one of the shows over on my end. And it is building over on DraftKings.com. Let's do that. Add to stream. Woo! There we go. We have the top of the board. John Rahm. Talked about it earlier. You click him in. You are using up a lot of salary right from the get-go. 7680. Going to be very difficult to build some unique John Rahm lineups, even if he is a guy that you just have to have and must have for this week's lineups. But I wanted to start with him. Talked about him earlier. Xander Schauffele. Not a lot of times that you're going to get Xander Schauffele lower owned than 20%. He is a PGA DFS darling, but at 10-3, the tag is inflated to a place where I think keeps some of the steam off of him the way that it is going to be for Justin Thomas, who I think is a good click, but just wanted to focus in on that. And it was good to see him healthy. We saw that 62 in the 4th round. Great finishing round for him with that albatross. Just a scoring monster. 3 eagles helps. In other isn't ideal. But either way, Xander, way to go. You're in my lineup for single entry as it stands right now. The next guy is not somebody I regularly play because he always ends up a little too popular for my liking. But Sung Jae Im, coming off of the Sony Open, misses the cut there. Looked really, really nice, just consistent. That 69 at PGA West in bubble conditions, not ideal to finish it out, but a T20 nonetheless, or a top 20 nonetheless. Century of Tournament of Champions, had the good 3rd round, but he's just somebody who consistently is good in terms of all-around driving of the golf ball. Over the course of his last 50 rounds, 2nd in strokes gained off the tee, 29th around the green, 26th with the putter. Just a well-balanced golfer who plays all types of conditions well, plays a lot of times on tour, and nice to see a little bit of form that we're getting with him here. Talked about it earlier, Keegan Bradley. I don't think a whole lot needs to be said about it. I don't really look at the last 2 weeks as anything all that special here. For my last two golfers, again, I've highlighted the 10K, 9K, 8K. Let's go to my favorite in the 7K range as it stands right now. And I don't know how much steam he's going to get, but Trey Molinex, this falls into that driver of the golf ball territory. Century Tournament of the Champions because, he won last year. He feels very Luke List-ish of last year, where somebody who can just dominate off the tee, get away with it. If he can spike anything with the putter, you're going to see him continue to contend. Excuse me, at 7,400 for Trey Molinex. He's a click that I just find myself doing a lot in the 7K range. And Cameron Champ there at 7,100. I understand the 1 out of 6 missed cuts, but making one of your 6 cuts, that's going to get a lot of people off of him. He played well this season, so this is just disturbing to look at. But he hasn't played all season long. I'm not going to factor in of it. Going to be probably a blind click for me. Now, the last player, I'm very curious if he ends up getting any kind of attention whatsoever, but Harry Higgs, coming off of a top 20 there, he's not somebody that I traditionally click on. He's not going to have any ownership whatsoever, but I'm looking at Doug Gim, who can be a ball striker. Echo, who I think a lot of people know that I end up clicking on more than most, played awful in those first 2 rounds at the Old American Express. Completely different situation here. I rostered him at this golf tournament. He played great in the first round. I think he missed the cut after a bad second round. It was awful, but Harry Higgs starting to play some better golf. Wanted to kind of feature in on him, just being a guy that always sub 7K. It gets really, really bleak for the most part on just about any golf tournament, but he's had good enough recent form where I'm okay making that a click. Probably won't make my single entry lineup, but if you made me make one where I had to round it out here, I'll probably end up in the 7K range with like a Cameron Champ and then X player here in the lower 7Ks. God forbid. Am I going to click on Bo Hostler? Southern California Amateur Goat. Just throwing it out there. But one in San Diego at San Diego Country Club. When I played in the SCGA Amateur down there, kind of close to the area. But either way, those are some decent enough golfers to get your single entry lineup started. Hit that like button, everybody, as we get out of here. That is the Farmer Insurance Breakdown. We kept it under a half an hour somehow. I just talked a lot and, wanted to cover different things. Let me know in the comment section below if there's any improvements that I can make. Again, FanDuel people, promise, it'll be pulled up. We got to make sure that the data gets updated on that end so that I can help you guys out there. I promise. Next week, promise. I will have that covered for you. They hate us sometimes, but FanDuel still needs some love, so I will make sure I focus on that for you. But let's get ourselves on out of here. Best of luck this week. Don't forget, Showdown, focus on the North Course. Kind of an obvious thing. It's the easier of the 4 rounds it is of the 2 golf courses. But hit Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the thing you want to check out. Get yourself $100 first match deposit bonus. I'm Eric Lindquist. I'm getting out of here. Best of luck. Don't forget, lineups locked on Wednesday morning. Best of luck at the Farmers Insurance Open.